Guys, I'm making another video here. I've been posting on this channel for a little bit, so I'm going to post right now. I'm going to do a video about who I believe the NFL contenders are, the pretenders, obviously. I didn't make this tier list. I just found this on tiermaker.com, and I would never use a word like shitters or could shake things up. I wouldn't use any of that, but I was not going to make my own list. So I just found this, and I'm going to try to put them where I believe where they should be. So let's go first with the Vikings. Let's put the Vikings in shitters. They have no McCarthy this year. He got injured, the rookie quarterback, right? Addison's banged up. Hawkinson had a kind of a decline last year without Kirk, right? And I just don't think they have it this year. I don't think they're that good. I think they belong in here. They're rebuilding, right? Justin Jefferson just got paid. Hopefully he could help Sam Darnold, but I think they belong here. Their defense is not that good, and I think this is a fair place to put them. Next, Tennessee. No man's land. They have a decent quarterback, right? Will Levis is decent. He used to date Gia Duddy, which is probably the highlight of his career right now because she is in fuego and his game is decently in fuego. So I think no man's land is perfect for them. Their defense is okay. It's solid. They just lost Derrick Henry. What am I saying? All right. Shit. No, switch these. They're better. All right. Okay. Because I think Vikings will be favored against them right now. Or actually, let's put both of them in the shitter because they both deserve it. All right. Anyways, Houston, perfect. Could shake things up. I don't think they're contenders yet. Obviously, the sophomore slump is going to happen with C.J. Stroud. He's a really talented quarterback, and I don't know how that Stephon Diggs piece is going to work. I think Nico Collins is their clear number one. I think they need to follow him, but I don't think that Stephon Diggs will be helpful as much as people say. He has an attitude problem. What is he going to say when he passes to Tank Dell, to Dalton Schultz, to Nico Collins? Like, what's going to happen then when Stephon Diggs isn't that number one guy anymore? So I'll put them at could shake things up. I don't know if they're borderline contenders yet. I think they're on their way there. Let's go with that. Next, Steelers, shitters. They're awful. Their running game sucks. Their receivers are average with Pickens basically only and like Calvin Austin, whoever else is their other receiver. They lost Deontay Johnson. Their quarterback's god-awful with Russ. I think Justin Fields should be started because what are you going to do with Russell Wilson? And I believe this is a fair assessment where to put them. I mean, I think this is fair. I think these three are probably going to be one of the worst in the leagues. So putting them there is fair. Next, Seahawks. I have Seahawks at could shake things up. Why do I have them at could shake things up? Their quarterback's decent. You know, he's a decent quarterback, Geno Smith. And even if he goes down or if they don't like the direction they're going with Geno Smith, they have Sam Howell, and I like Sam Howell. Sam Howell was supposed to be a number one pick before his senior year or his last year in North Carolina. He was supposed to be the number one pick. He got sacked a lot. He holds the ball a lot. He finds sacks. That's the problem. But with Kenneth Walker healthy, with Jackson Smith and Jigba getting better, with DK Metcalf entering his prime because he still is young, and with Tyler Lockett still being that savvy veteran, they have a good offensive team, and their defense is they were really bad in the beginning of the year, but played way better towards the end. And I think this is a fair to put them in. It could shake things up because they could make the playoffs. I think they can make the playoffs for sure. They're not no man's land. You could maybe put them there just because you don't know the quarterback like in the future. But for this year, they could shake things up for sure. Saints, they're no man's land. Derek Carr's decent. I don't know if he's not better than Geno, I think, but he's decent. They're like this. They're like the same. But he's decent, but their weapons aren't there. Chris Olave is your number one. I don't think Chris Olave is the number one. Everybody's on Chris Olave, but I'm not. I was decently high on him in Ohio State, but things have changed a little in the NFL. Maybe if he had better quarterback play, it would help. Maybe if he had better offensive schemes, it would help. But I'll put him here. Their O-line is decent. They should be better than what they are, but they're not going to win a championship. They might be a fringe playoff contender because that NFC South is kind of shoddy. So I'll put them there. I think that's a fair assessment. Basically, you could put the whole NFC South here, maybe, Baltimore Ravens, they're borderline contenders. They're not contenders. You cannot win a championship with Lamar Jackson. It's impossible. I promise you, it will never work. The sooner the Ravens cut ties with him, the better it will be for the team. I think that Lamar Jackson can't throw, and it showed in the 17-10 game in the AFC Championship against the Chiefs. He can't throw. They don't trust him to throw. They're running draws. They're running screen passes down by 10, 17-7 in the third quarter, late third quarter, early fourth quarter. What are you doing? You need to have a reliable quarterback. He can't throw sideline to sideline. He only can throw down the middle and seam routes to Mark Andrews. People need to stop that. They act like he has no weapons, but he does have weapons. They draft Zay Flowers. They draft Rashad Bateman. They get Devin Duvernay. They get Odell Beckham. They try to put him. They put Des Bryant on there. I know Des Bryant was old and he was not washed up, but whatever. But they try to get him weapons, right? But he just can't do it. These guys, they're gonna be a run first team always. That's why they get Derrick Henry. That's probably the best way for them to win. Is they're gonna bolster their run game, get better with their run game, and I think this is a fair place to put them at borderline contenders. Rams, they're borderline contenders as well. Rams offense is sick. They have a great offense. Their run game with Kyron Williams is good. I'm high on him. I drafted him high in my fantasy draft. I like him here. I think this is a fair assessment to put him here. I'll take Matt Stafford over any quarterback any given day. He can outplay Mahomes even. He can outplay Joe Burrow. He can outplay Herbert. He can outplay all these quarterbacks any given day. He's a little bit older, but he's a winner. He's a championship Super Bowl winner, Super Bowl MVP, I think. He's a good player. So I have to put him at borderline contenders. Anytime he's healthy and he's a gamer, he's going to win games, and you have to put him at borderline contenders. They can get hot. They have Puka Nacua. They have Cooper Kupp. They have Kyron Williams. Their team's going to be good. Their defense is pretty decent. Not obviously as good as their championship years, but they're decent, and you have to give them respect. So you have to put them here. Raiders, shitters. Raiders have Gardner Minshew starting. This is obviously a bridge year for them, and this is no disrespect to the Raiders. This is a bridge year for them. They're not gonna get better. They're not gonna make the playoffs. That's just what happens. They lost Josh Jacobs. They have no more Jimmy G. They're playing either a sophomore quarterback and Aiden O'Connell, or they're playing Gardner Minshew. And then these guys, they'll win you games. They'll win you 5-6 games, but you're not making the playoffs with this team. So Patriots is shitters as well. Yep, shitters. Why are they shitters? They're not going to win this year. So I'm not basing it on Drake May in 5 years or 3 years. I'm basing it on Drake May now, and they're not going to win. They're going to be a 4-13, 4-12, whatever the schedule is now. 4-12 team. They're going to be a 4-12, 5-11 team. They need to rebuild, and with Drake May is a good piece. I think Drake May is a good quarterback. I believe that they're going to start Jacoby Brissett. So until he's obviously out, Drake May will be playing. But I think this is a fair assessment. They have no wide receivers. Kendrick Bourne's their number one. Their defense is average. The only thing they have good going for them is they have cold weather and they can run the ball with Ramondre Stevenson, right? So I'll put them there. Panthers, shitters, awful. Bryce Young's terrible. Bryce Young's really bad. He's small. I played against him in basketball. He's small. I'm 5'11", 3/4. He's probably like 5'10", and he's really skinny and frail. He doesn't have an arm. He looks nervous in the pocket. He gets sacked a lot. He can't see over the line. There's a lot of red flags. I don't know why they draft him first round, but you have to put him there. If he's your starting quarterback, you have to put him at shitters. They're going to be tanking, right? Next, Green Bay. You have to put contenders. Green Bay's a contender. They're a contender. They had Josh Jacobs. It's a great addition for the run game, right? They have Jordan Love. Jordan Love's a really, really good quarterback. You have to understand he has no weapons around him, and he's still dominating. They have Luke Musgrove, who was good at Oregon State, but again, a rookie or a young guy. Then they had Dontavian Wicks, young guy. They have Jaden Reed, young guy, rookie, unproven. They had Romeo Dobbs, who's decent. They have Christian Watson, who's injury prone, and he still made it work. He took them to the divisional rounds, right? They beat Cowboys, and then they took them to divisional rounds, almost beat the 49ers. The 49ers were the best team in the NFL last season. So you have to put him here. They're just getting younger. They're getting better, and you have to put them in contenders because they're going to be right there. I think they have a better chance than Baltimore. They have a better chance than the Rams to make some noise in the NFL. And next, you have to go Lions. Lions are contenders as well. These two teams are really, really good. I think the Green Bay is a little bit better than the Lions. I think he showed it when they played on Thanksgiving last year that the Lions defense still needs work. And I think Jared Goff's a good quarterback. I think that Amon-Ra is a great receiver. I think Sam Laporta is a good tight end. But their defense does need work. You know, their O-line's amazing. They have Montgomery and Gibbs. But their O-line, their defense needs work. And that's the problem, though. They won't win a championship probably this year, but they can contend if they do ball control like they have been last year and they continue it this year, right? So Jets, how do you not put Jets at borderline contenders? Their defense is stacked, correct? Their defense is stacked last year. They get Aaron Rodgers back. If you saw Aaron Rodgers in preseason and not preseason, in training camp, he looked amazing. He looked absolutely amazing. His arm's nasty. They have Garrett Wilson. They have Breece Hall. Their defense is insane. You have to put them here at borderline contenders. It's Aaron Rodgers. You mean he's one of the best ever, and you have to put him there. Next, borderline contenders, Jacksonville. Their defense got better. Their O-line was decent last year. Trevor Lawrence, the only problem with him, he's turnover prone, and he needs to stop that. They lose Calvin Ridley, but they have Kirk back. They get Gabe Davis. Their team is going to be good. They have Evan Ingram back. Like their team's going to be solid. If Trevor Lawrence makes that jump in his fourth year now, if he makes that jump to be a top 10 quarterback, I think I have him at like 17 or 18 right now. But if he makes that jump to be a top 10 quarterback, they'll definitely be borderline contenders. They're probably going to win their division, right? So yeah, it's either them, Texans, or Colts. So they'll probably win the division. So I think Jacksonville's going to win the division next year. I'll put them here. Giants. They're in no man's land right now. I like the Giants. I actually like Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is a good quarterback when he has time to throw. I liked him at Duke. We saw when they went to the playoffs, he was a good quarterback. Well, when he has time to throw, they beat the Vikings in the playoffs. So if they give him time to throw, but they don't have time, he doesn't have time to throw. They keep whiffing on these Eric Flowers, Thomas from Georgia, whatever his name is. Like they keep whiffing on these tackles and these O linemen, and they just need to hit one to like secure them for the next 10 years to keep this guy upright. But until then, you have to put him in no man's land. I mean, this is probably gonna be his last year at New York, unfortunately. Even though I feel like he never got a fair shake. If you put him at San Fran, how much better? They probably win the Super Bowl. So you got to put him here. They could shake things up. The Falcons could shake things up for sure. The Falcons are a good team. They had Desmond Ridder as quarterback, and they almost made the playoffs. I mean, that's insane. Desmond Ridder's awful. He got cut. By Arizona in the preseason this year. And that was your starting quarterback, the Falcons. Their coach, the guy from Tennessee last year, I forgot his name. Great coach. He's honestly a great coach. He got a bad rap, and I feel bad for him, but he's a good coach. Arthur Smith, he's a good coach, and I think that with Kirk Cousins, that team will be better. They're going to rely a lot on that run game with Bijan and with Drake London and Kyle Pitts. I guess Kyle Pitts just got a little hurt. He got his hamstring pulled or something like that. This is a fair place to put him. I mean, Kirk Cousins can make anyone a borderline contender. Maybe not a contender, but a borderline contender. I guess he can make the San Fran win like 5 championships if he was there instead of Brock Purdy. Next, Eagles. Eagles are contenders. They're contenders. Why are they contenders? Jalen Hurts. They win every damn game. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. He's good at play action. Their O-line is good. They lost Jason Kelce, but Jason Kelce isn't as good as everybody thinks he is. You know, I think he was rated like the 14th or 15th best center in the NFL last season. So hopefully they can move over somebody, or they added somebody that's a good center to replace him. and bolster this O-line. You know, they have Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. Their team's good. Their defense is okay. They're a little bit above average, but you can put them here. Miami could shake things up. There's a problem with Miami. They're too gimmicky. You saw it in the playoffs. They're way too gimmicky. They can either score 30 points or they can score 0 points. If you stop the gimmick, it's over. The game's over if you stop the gimmick, right? And that's what you saw versus KC in London and in the playoffs. Like you saw them get stifled many times. And once you stop that gimmick, versus the Titans, it got stopped. You know, once you stop it, it's done. So they won't win a play. They won't win a. They can go to the playoffs. They won't win a championship, but you could put them here. Cowboys, they're Super Bowl contenders for sure. They're Super Bowl contenders. You can't not put them here. They're one of the best teams in the NFL. They have Dak Prescott's probably a top 6 or 7 quarterback in the NFL. I know people hate on him, but he's a good quarterback. He can throw. He can stay in the pocket. Maybe that shows that Tom Brady is right by calling quarterback play mediocre now. You know, so. You have to put him. You have to put the Cowboys here. Their defense is solid. Their defense kind of flailed at the end of the year last year. Maybe they'll gather the reins a little bit better, and they'll play better. So you got to put them here. I think they're one of the best teams in the NFL. If I would rank them, they'll probably put like that. Yeah. Next, Washington shitters. They're not going to be good. Their O-line's trash. Jaden Daniels might be good, but not this year. Again, it's just for this year, 2024 season. It's just for this year, and I have to put them there. I mean, they're not going to be good. They're probably going to win like 4 or 5 games. Their defense is whatever. Their O-line is garbage. Their receivers are bad. I mean, besides Terry McLaurin, who do they have? I mean, I don't know. So you have to put them there. No man's land is Colts. Colts are in no man's land. Their O-line is really good. They run the ball a lot. Jonathan Taylor's going to get 30 totes a game. But Anthony Richardson, you can't trust him to throw. Maybe they'll be better because he's dual threat. But they're still in no man's land. They're not going to be potential contenders like the Ravens, Rams, Jets, and Jaguars. They're not going to be that. But they can win games for sure because they have a good O-line. They have Quentin Nelson there. They have Jonathan Taylor. They have I think Alec Pierce is still there. They have Pittman. They have Anthony Richardson. Like their team's going to be good. So you got to put them there. Obviously, they're contenders. You have to put them number 1 because they just won back-to-back. Pat Mahomes is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, possibly maybe second or third. But you have to put him there. There's no reason for you not to put him there. And, yeah, I mean, everybody knows about the Chiefs, right? Here, you have to put at no man's land. The Chargers are in no man's land. For sure, they're at no man's land. There's no argument about it. They're in no man's land. They lost Keenan Allen. They lost Mike Williams. They lost Austin Eckler. They blew up that team, basically. The only people that are still there are Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Derwin James, Justin Herbert. And, yeah, that's basically it. They're going to take a downswing this year, even with Harbaugh there. But that's fine. I mean, it's just 1 year, right? Cardinals, they could shake things up. Cardinals are good. They're good. Now you have Marvin Harrison. You have Trey McBride. Their team's going to be solid. The Kyler Murray's back. Kyler Murray gets a bad rap. He's a good quarterback. He's a really good quarterback. He holds the ball a lot, but it doesn't matter because he's a good quarterback and he makes good decisions. So you have to put him here. And they could shake things up. They're not in no man's land because I think they're better than these 4 teams right here. But I'll put them. I could shake things up. Tampa Bay, they're in no man's land. And the problem is will Baker win you a championship? No, he cannot. He's a good quarterback. He's accurate. He's really accurate. But he won't win you a championship. That team's getting older and older by the minute. Chris Godwin gets older. Mike Evans gets older. So all these guys are getting older, right? And I think that it's not fair for me to put them in could shake things up because I don't think they have the weapons anymore. They lost Devin White, I think. Their defense is not going to be not as good this year. So no, they're in no man's land. I know they made the playoffs last year and they gave Detroit a good game, but they're there. They're in no man's land also. They signed Deshaun Watson to a big deal. They have Amari Cooper. They got Nick Chubb coming back. They're in no man's land. Are they going to get better? I don't know. They're gonna make the playoffs maybe. I mean they could. They have a good O line. They have a good O line. They have good receivers. Their defense is decent, but I don't trust them to win a playoff game or win a championship. Maybe I'll put them there. They could shake things up because I think they are better than these four teams. As for these five teams, especially with Flacco last year, uh, was basically a second string quarterback. So now you have Deshaun Watson back. Maybe if he can throw a little bit better, you can put him there. These guys are in no man's land. I just trust Sean Payton. Sean Payton's a good OC. I mean, good OC and obviously head coach. But Bo Nix is young. They're better than Washington. They're better than New England. They're in no man's land. They still have the same pieces besides Jerry Jeudy, I think, on offense. They let go Tim Patrick, but he's been injured. You got to put them here. You got to put them here. They're better than these teams right here. Bills, they're borderline contenders. They lost a lot of guys. This is going to be a rebuild. They're here. They're here. They could shake things up. They're not borderline contenders. They won't win. They won't win a Super Bowl this year. They have nobody around it. If Josh Allen's as good as people think he is, he'll make that team great. But I don't think he is that good. I think he's a little autistic. I think he needs and that's not bad. So I think he just wants to stop dinking and dunking and throw down the field, and he cost himself doing that. He did that versus Denver. He did that versus the Chiefs. He did that. He does that constantly. So like that's always a problem with him. You know, he has like Tourette's or something. And again, that's nothing bad about Tourette's. Bengals, they're contenders. Their team's gonna be stacked this year with Joe Burrow coming back. Their team was good last year, and they're gonna be up here. Okay, let's do Chicago. Chicago's in no man's land. Chicago added a lot of good weapons, but it's a first-year quarterback. It's a first-year quarterback. I can't put him up higher than here. And I think this is a fair place to put him is at no man's land. Yeah, I can't put him above any of those other teams. Those other teams are proven. They're not. So, yeah. San Fran, they're obviously contenders. Obviously contenders. They're probably the best team in the NFL. And they have McCaffrey. They just re-signed Ayuk. They have Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. Brock Purdy's their only problem, though. They won't. I don't know if they'll win a championship with Brock Purdy. I don't think he's good enough to win a championship. I've watched him so many times at Iowa State. I'm like, in big games he falters. Excuse me, he falters. But the team alone with Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw will come back later in the year. Their team alone, Lenoir, whatever his name is, you have to put him at contenders. Their team is stacked. So if I'm gonna rank them, I would say they're. There, I would say here. Chiefs and Bengals, their two are for sure gonna make. One of them is gonna make the Super Bowl. That's a given. So that's what I'm thinking. This maybe be a little bit more fair. So we can put them here. They have good weapons. Their defense is decent. Their defense is good as well. Okay, so I think this is fair. I think this is fair. Yeah, this is fair. Right here. See how Dolphins are better. Let's put Bills over Cardinals. Right there. That's fair. If I can add anybody up here. Maybe them because they run the ball well and they have a good O-line. You can put them up there. Yeah, and then Saints, Giants. Giants has to be back here. I'll put them higher because they actually have a good team. Tampa Bay has a better team. There. Yeah. The worst team this year is going to be them again. They're probably going to be second. They're probably going to be third. They're probably going to be fourth. Yeah, this is where I'd rank them. I guess I'll do it the opposite way. Okay. Yeah, this is probably accurate. All right, guys. Thank you. This is my list. This is what I think are contenders or pretenders. or just garbage. Thank you guys. This video was 25 minutes. Hopefully I stayed for the whole thing. I appreciate you. Thank you.